Hey, Chris Lipe here, helping you sing better, helping you make better music, hopefully. And those of you who've been following the channel for any length of time know that I'm big on listening to my favorite singers live because of the kinds of things that they reveal in their singing that help us put some of their tonalities, some of their approaches into our own singing if we're listening right and doing the right amount of introspection. But I also really enjoy listening to good recorded vocals, good studio grade vocals. It's where the singer can go overboard. It's where they can realize their very best voice because they have as many shots as they want to get it right. They also have the ability, with the right help and with the right ears, to create what I like to call a vocal atmosphere. Meaning there are all sorts of things that you can do in addition to getting a great take or set of takes in the studio. There are all sorts of things that you can do to enhance the sound and feel of that lead vocal, from background vocals like doubles or subtle harmonies or other things that don't really completely fit in either one of those categories. A couple videos back on the channel, I did a video, How to Sing Like Brendon Urie, where I filmed and recorded myself singing Emperor's New Clothes by Panic at the Disco. I want to show you the recording session. I want you to see the main vocal. I want you to see the plugins that I have on it. I want you to see the doubles and the extra vocals that I've added and how I've used those, how I've recorded them, how I've changed my voice on certain doubles or harmonies or whatever, so that you guys can get a sense for how much not only singing the right stuff matters, but how placing it in a recording and how massaging using current technology can really make or break the perception of a great vocal performance. Now, before we get into this, if you're working on your own voice and wanting to learn how to sing better with more support, more confidence, and more freely, be sure to check out my free vocal course linked below. So let's dive in. I recorded the Spotify backing track onto just stereo 2-track via my interface. So I just had it in here and could go over things as much as I wanted to. So that's what that is. And then for reference, to make sure that I was getting the close to the right vibe, I have a version of the real studio recording with Brendon's vocals on there, so that I can go back and forth. After I sing it through, go over here and am I getting close to the vibe, and constantly comparing and making changes in my own performance till I feel like I've gotten things where I want them. I started off with adding to the track and just using these finders, keepers, losers, weepers. So you can hear I have finders, keepers, losers, weepers. I have lots of my regular range in there, just my chest resonance, normal. Finders, keepers, losers. But I wasn't really paying that much attention to were they good? Were they, they just want to sound like a sort of a shoddy group of singers. Finders, keepers, losers. Not much. Finders, keep. And then I have octaves. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. You can tell my pitch is off some, but finders, keepers, losers, weepers. But that's part of the fun. So kind of knowing when to be on and when to not care is kind of an art of making good recorded vocals. Next we move on to the verse, and the verse is just, the one thing here. Welcome to Tastes good, it must be mine. I'd see a ghost tonight. And there, I'm baring my teeth, as you can see on the video. Be sure to check out the other video if you haven't. This will make more sense. The challenge with going into the first chorus is that there's this overlap in the karaoke track as well as the original. Oh, I'm taking back the And right there, so I actually just recorded this and then went back and on a different take did this, and then that was a little bit of a nightmare in terms of video editing, but it worked. So what I did is I recorded the verses first on one pass. Got the cameras rolling, got the recording going, and then I just started from the very beginning and recorded the verses, but that's it. And then I went back in. You can see here on the second verse, mine heroes always. I actually screwed up there originally, so I went back and punched and just let the cameras keep rolling and then edited that in. And you can see there is an edit in the video where I switched to a different camera angle, and that's why I screwed up the back half of the second verse. So I had to go back and compensate for that to make it look natural on camera. Then there's this gap right here. Oh, I'm taking back. And that's great. Made it nice and easy. But let's first talk about the lead vocal. Those of you who have been following the channel for a little bit understand my vocal signal chain, although I'm going to do a video on that pretty soon. But there's a lot going on, just production-wise, to make this vocal sit well. So if we take this, let's just listen to that right now. That's distorted. You don't hear that as distorted when you're listening back to the actual track, but it is, and it is in the studio recording from Panic at the Disco as well. I'm using this plugin. It's a Shep's Omni channel by Waves to generate a lot of this sound. So if I take this off, versus on, you might think, as did I, when I was first messing with this, that that's too much distortion. It sounds too fuzzy. But you get it in the mix, and it cuts the harshness. I'm not really I'm cutting a little bit of mids. I'm boosting just a tiny bit of highs here. And I'm adding some additional compression. Also, you can see here, I've got a threshold of -17. I've got a ratio of 6:1. But that's not all I'm doing. This isn't the only thing having an effect on the vocal. If I turn this off and just listen to this section here again. Oh, turning this off, I said. I'm also using a fair amount of compression and limiting going in. I've done other videos on the channel about this, but I'm using a Manly Core preamp, and I'm hitting it pretty hard with the built-in tube limiter and opto compressor on there. This allows me to get good levels all the way across, and I get good visual levels, and I get good audible levels, and I don't have to do as much in post. I really like to work that way. But even with this, I needed more, and if we mute the other vocals that I have helping, which we'll cover those here in a second. That just doesn't sit as nicely. That part sounds harsh to me, and by adding the distortion and thereby bringing the level down a little bit and making it feel richer and more harmonic, it automatically sits better, and then we bring back the help vocals. Let's talk about those help vocals real quick. These are vocals that help place the lead vocal in the mix better, and I do these on every lead vocal for every song I ever record. And you can hear, if you listen really carefully on Brendon Urie's vocal performance, those are in there too. He has multiple doubles going on. He has a double an octave below. And those are just helping surround his voice, helping it sit in the mix, and helping his overall perception of tone. So in my lead, Let's get this off so you can sort of hear.
Oh, yeah, the crown.
It's brighter, you know, that's good. But listen to this first set of doubles. Well, this first double anyway. And that one's really distorted. But I'm also singing it differently. If you recall from the Brendon Urie, How to Sing Like Brendon Urie video, I talk about placing your voice and placing your resonance to get certain sounds. And I did an extreme here so that, you know, the dropped. I did that because in the layers, it offsets the bright sound that I had during my more live lead vocal take. So when you put these together, muting this one, adding, and let me turn the distortion off here so you can hear. Help by itself. Much darker. The sum of those two creates a nice middle. I'm actually doing that with two different voices. So I get the aggression and the brightness out of the original lead take, and then I get this warmer, which is reinforced by the other helps, which I've EQ'd slightly differently. You can still hear that I'm taking that same darker approach. Oh, yeah, the crown! And I'm not so worried even about pitch that much. I mean, I want to be close enough, but it's okay that I'm a little off. I want that sort of group sound. But if I listen to the helps here, they're all very much darker, very much placed with a lower vocal positioning. Soft palate that is raised, and the tongue, the vocal box that is dropped. Combine that with the original. And you can really hear how they complement each other. Then we'll throw in the and you can see, so those are also limit or EQ'd differently. You notice these using the same Schoeps Omni channel and some distortion, but also I have this filter here set way up so that I'm not getting any low buildup. I don't want low buildup in the vocals. I have plenty of that richness from the lead vocal and from that first double. I want these to be up here, filling wideness, filling space, but not muddying up that lower mid. Plus, it makes more room for these guys. Oh, yeah, the crown. Oh, yeah, the crown. Again, I'm not that concerned about being accurate pitch-wise as much as I am filling a space. Oh, yeah, the crown. Oh, yeah, the crown. Oh, yeah, the crown. But I want to be somewhat neutral sounding. You know, oh, yeah. I don't want to be doing that. I want to have a good background vocal, sort of sedated yet with it approach. And I take that approach throughout the whole song. If you look at the rest of the tracks, these were not added on video, and I'm doubling everywhere, and that includes on this high part here. You can hear the different approaches that I took here. You can hear the automation going, the vocal automation right here. The mix called for this to be automated. And you got this one. Some of those are pretty clean. Not that one. That was arguably a better take than the first one. Nice and mellow. Probably more vibrato than I should have used. Sometimes those articulations aren't right on, but they're back there in such a layer that doesn't matter all the time. Works really well.
I'm taking back the crown. I'm all dressed up and naked. I'll see what's mine.
So hopefully that was fun for you to see my approach to recording that song, but also how I approach singing a lot of melodies, how I approach placing a voice in a mix. It's a lot about performance, for sure, and understanding how to capture the right energy. But part of that is understanding what ways that you can help your main vocal by contributing doubles, by contributing background vocals. And the art and the creativity of it is different in every track, which is what makes, I think, recording vocals one of my favorite pastimes ever. But even in something as simple as this, where you're basically just supporting a main melody and you're imitating the production value and another singer, because it's a cover, even in this case, you have the ability to really go deep and create a vocal environment that ends up enhancing the overall performance. Not fixing it, but enhancing it. Again, if you want to take your voice to another level, sing more freely, sing more confidently, expand your range, all these things, be sure to join my free vocal course linked below. We'll see you for more.